And showtime. Yep.
Cool. All right. Thanks so much, Javi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your Monday morning to spend a little bit of time with us. As Javi mentioned, my name is Nathan Groce. I'm the CEO of Market Me Consulting. And this morning, we're going to be talking about B2B marketing essentials. So looking at the agenda, there's two big sections we'll chat about. The first is providing steps and tips on how to create a business-to-business marketing strategy. And then in the second half of the presentation, we'll talk about some promotional strategies and tips. So a little bit about us. We are a marketing agency that's based here in DC, and we really specialize on social impact marketing. So we work with a number of different DC agencies, nonprofits, as well as corporate brands. And we've also been able to provide marketing assistance to over 50 small businesses, primarily based here in DC. Okay, there we go. So how to create a B2B marketing strategy. So steps. So there's usually about like 8 steps in creating a B2B marketing strategy, and I'll get into each of those steps in a moment. But creating a marketing strategy, it really involves a multi-step approach that includes conducting market research, where you're gaining data, and then you're going to be leveraging that data to help you formulate the strategy to make sure that you're matching your product or your service with the people that you're really trying to reach. Step number one, you really want to establish your objectives. So, in a recent survey of B2B owners, they indicated that brand awareness and generating leads are the most important goals for B2B marketers. And that really makes a lot of sense if you think about it, right? So, we're all small businesses out here, and one of the biggest things we're trying to do in order to get new clients and get new businesses letting people know about our business. So we need to really raise awareness so folks are familiar with it. Then, so that was like 84% of participants. And the second big thing, it's, tied with 83% is like lead generation. So it's great that people know about your business, but what we really want to do is make a sale, and that's where lead generation comes in. And lead generation is getting the contact information for someone at an agency or a contractor that you could follow up with so you could pitch your services to them. Following along those lines, so if you want to create an objective, you want to make sure that your objectives and your goals are SMART. That means they should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. An example of a SMART marketing objectives around brand awareness would be attending 3 networking events with B2B buyers in October 2024. So with that, what you see is that the goal is very specific, right? Because we're trying to attend 3 events. It's measurable. You can measure, did you attend 3 events or did you not attend 3 events? It's achievable. DC, one of the great things about DC is that there's a lot of different like opportunities for us to like network, meet different business owners, meet different agencies. So being able to hit like at least 3 of those in a month might be something that's achievable. You don't want to say something like 20, right? Because that might be like too many to do. You want to do something that's achievable. And it's also relevant toward your business and it's time bound. So whenever you set your objectives, you want to make sure that they're SMART objectives because it's easier to go back and measure against them. Next, you want to conduct your market research. So it's really important to conduct market research because with it, what you'll do is you'll gather data and insights about the industry that you're in, who your competition is, and then also your internal business and analysis. So looking at the industry, so you want to understand like what is your market size and growth. So for example, if you're in the construction business, right, you want to understand like what's going on in the construction business, what sorts of rules and regulations can impact it that might impact your business. So for example, DC right now, I think Mayor Bowser, she just released this plan at the end of last week, they're taking 3 office buildings that are in downtown DC and converting them into private residential buildings. So that'll be a lot of opportunity for like, think about folks that are like plumbing or contracting and janitorial business. So thinking about those sorts of like trends and ideas that are taking place. Or a couple of years ago, the Biden administration passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which is going to give states, including DC, a lot of money to invest in things such as like green energy projects. So that's the sort of thing you want to think about in terms of like what's going on. Want to understand who your competitors are. So you need to understand who you're competing against, how they're pricing their strategies, how they're marketing their business, and sort of what their services are, because you're going to be competing against other businesses that are going towards the same clients as you. So you really need to understand like how you stack up against them, and also like what things are doing well that you can also borrow against, or like what things they may not be doing well so you can compete against them. Some sources of information to look up competitors are the CBE lookup portal. So you can go to the CBE lookup portal and type in the different codes, and you can come up with a list of businesses. You can also go to the OCP transparency portal, so the Office of Contracting and Procurement Transport Transparency portal. And with that, when purchase orders and contracts are given to different agencies, you can actually like pull out that information to sort of like see what companies are winning some of these contracts. And then once you have that information, you can go to like their website, their social media, do your research, etc. And the third big bucket of research you want to do is internal analysis. So looking at your own business, right? So you want to understand like how your sales data and trends. Is your business growing? Is it declining? What channels are you selling the most out of? Are, a lot of people coming to your website, or are they just calling you directly? How are you sort of distributing your business, and what's really driving the needle there? Step 3, and this is really important, you want to identify your target audience. So in this step, what you want to do is determine who your target audience is, because those are the people you want to target with your marketing efforts. And conducting target market research will provide you with insights to allow you to better like reach them. One sort of challenge I see in working with a lot of small businesses is that they haven't correctly or specifically honed in on the target audience. So they have this like huge, huge, huge target audience. So it's really hard to like market when your audience is like too broad, because the message is going to be very different, and it won't be congruent. So it's better if you have like a more narrow target audience, because it'll make your marketing efforts that much stronger. And then that way it'll sort of like your target audience and the customers you're trying to reach or understand what your business is about. When doing your research for your target market, some questions you want to answer or ask yourself are sort of like, who are your existing customers and potential customers? So if you don't really understand who your target audience is, sort of like understand like, okay, well, who are you currently serving? Who are your current customers? And that's probably who your target audience is. Sort of understanding like what their needs are. Because if you understand like what their needs are, then you can come up with a solution to help achieve their needs and solve their needs and problems. Also, you want to understand like where are they like located, and then what kinds of products and services do they want. A handy dandy worksheet you can help create your target audience and hone in on it is, if you go to the Green Book, which is provided by DSLBD, there's a worksheet in there that sort of like walks you through the steps to help you understand who your target audience is and developing a list of people to reach and go after. Excuse me. Along with the target audience, if you want to do some extra credit, what you can do is develop a buyer persona. And what this is, it's a fictional representation of who your target audience is. And this can really help you guide your marketing strategy, because really what it does, it puts a name and a face to the people that you're trying to reach. So, for example, with this one, so here this buyer is, their name is like Lisa Thompson. She's 42 years old. She's the Chief Human Services Resources Officer at the DC Department of General Services. It talks about how much experiences she has, etc., and then what her work responsibilities are. Next, it talks about her challenges. So one of her challenges is, navigating complex government regulations, addressing employee morale, difficulty in finding HR consulting firms, and understanding the unique needs. Sorry, and this is for a buyer persona for like a business that was an HR consulting business, right? So if I'm an HR consulting business and my target audience is DC government agencies that need HR services, I would develop something like this. You would do the same thing if you're a construction business, janitorial business, etc. But then, in terms of looking at her preferred communication channels, I understand, what her email is. So she likes email for formal communication. She sends out RFP announcements this way. For in-person meetings, she does it for finalizing contracts, project kickoffs, and then for professional networks, she uses like LinkedIn to understand HR industry insights. And then we have her content preferences in terms of the type of content that she's looking at. So she might be looking at different proposals for white papers and case studies so she can understand the vendor's expertise. And then maybe she attends webinars where she's looking for practical advice. Now, the way you develop this is that either there's two options, at least two options. One, if you already have target customers that you work with, you can sort of like glean this information out from them, but in terms of like understanding sort of like who they are, like what their challenges are, sort of asking them the questions. The other way you can do this, and probably like the quickest way to do it, but it may not be as specific or as well is to do something like Chat GPT, right? So you can go to like Chat GPT and say, hey, create a buyer persona for, I'll do if you're like a construction business, right? So you go to Chat GPT and you say, hey, I have a small construction business in DC. My target audience is prime contracting companies in Washington, DC. Create a buyer persona for them. And then Chat GPT or like spit out all this information, right? And then you can sort of like use that as your buyer persona as a way to start. And then as you get more clients and more businesses, you can always like hone that in. And then if you have multiple target audiences, you can have a couple of different like buyer personas that you can like use. The next step is that you want to develop your competitive position. So with businesses, you want to make sure that you are doing everything you can to stand out from other businesses and differentiate yourselves so that your potential clients really think about you and they're looking for who their service provider is going to be. And there's a bunch of different ways you can position or market your business as a way to like stand out. A few different positioning strategies. One would be, excuse me, innovation and technology. So if you're in like IT services and you're doing something that's really like innovative and technological, you can position your company as an innovator in your industry, right? So you could talk about, oh, there's this cutting edge technology we came up with. We have these really cool apps, or we have really innovative processes. An example of that would be like Apple, right? So you think about like Apple, they have the phones, the iPads, the earphones are all on the forefront of innovation and technology. Another way you could do it is providing really good customer service. So your business and the way you stand out and differentiate yourself is all about the customer service. So you offer exceptional customer service. You do a lot of long-term relationship building with your customers. Your customers come back to you because they say, "Oh, you provide really good customer service. You're really easy to work with, etc." And then a third way you could do it is in terms of like price positioning. So this is sort of when you price your goods or your services to appeal to different consumers. So Walmart is an example of that, right? So if you think about Walmart, they really position themselves in terms of providing really low prices for the products that they sell. And they say that in their messaging, like low prices every day for, so that's sort of like the way they're positioning their company. And you can use some of these positioning strategies. So when you're creating your capability statements, which is, basically your resume that you give to DC government agencies and others, there's usually a section on there that talks about, differentiating factors or sort of like how are you different? And these could be some of the ways you can use it to classify how your business is different than other businesses. And if you're having a hard time in terms of coming up, like, oh, what is my competitive position? Sort of think about what your customers have told you in the past. So, for example, if you have customers and you continue to hear people say, "Oh my God, you're really easy to work with, you provide really good client service, et cetera," your position is probably around your customer service, right? That's probably something that you're naturally doing, that you're really like good at, that you can sort of use as one way to differentiate yourselves from other businesses that are out there. Next, you want to determine your marketing budget. So with this, you want to identify the budget that you have available for marketing to your businesses. And a common rule of thumb for B2B brands is to spend between 2 and 5% of their total revenue on marketing. So if you're a construction company and your revenue is $100,000 a year, you want to spend between $2,000 and $5,000 a year on revenue and marketing, and that's total, right? So if you're running like social media ads, putting out flyers, employees, etc., sort of whatever that your revenue is, like 2 to 5% is usually the rule of thumb. A few tips on how to stretch your marketing budget. One, utilize DC resources. So DC has especially a lot of free resources that you can use. So DSLBD has workshops such as this one. They have different grant opportunities. They have different trainings. DC has a program where you can get summer interns where the DC government will pay the interns on your behalf, but then you get that because they're trying to develop the interns and the younger folks to have skills, but then you get that labor force for free. Two, you can repurpose content for multiple purposes. So, for example, if you have a website and you do monthly blog posts, what you can do is you can take that blog post and you can turn that into several different social media posts. So maybe, as a janitorial company, you do a blog post in terms that says 10 cleaning tips for the fall, right? And in the blog post, you have 10 different tips that talks about how to clean your home or your business. What you can do is like you can take those 10 tips, and that's 10 different social media posts, right? So each post can be about each one of those tips. So that's like another way you can sort of repurpose your content. And then the last thing I sort of talk about are partnerships. So partnering with complementary businesses that are like yours. So for example, if you have a marketing agency like I have, and then you maybe find another business that has like an accounting business, right? So you're really not competing because one's doing marketing and one's doing accounting. But what you could do is that maybe you have a joint webinar session where you're talking about different like marketing and accounting techniques that small businesses can use. And then both of you get that list of people that attended. And those can be sort of like one of your like lead generation tips that you can use. Next, you want to look at your B2B marketing channels. So this is when you're choosing the channels that you're going to be using to market and promote your business. So something like only 5% of your customers that you're looking to buy your services are only 5% of your customers are looking to sort of like make that purchase decision at any given moment. So because only 5% of people are really looking to do the purchase decision, you need to be marketing all the time so that when they are ready to make their decision, they're thinking about your business. And that's really where this funnel comes into play. And what this funnel is that it looks at the different marketing activities that you should be doing at different stages of the buyer journey. So looking at the very top, at the top of the funnel, this is like the awareness stage, right? So this is when like the buyers, they realize they have a problem or a need, and then they start to look for information to understand it. So for example, if the mayor says, okay, we want to convert, some of these office buildings downtown into residential services, that sort of flows down to the different agencies that's responsible for that work. So they said, okay, then the agency's like, okay, I know I have this problem. This is coming in like the next year. So I'm trying to understand things. So what the goal for the small businesses such as yours would be to do, right, is attracting potential buyers. So in this stage, what you want to be doing is like going to different conferences, so you can understand like what's going on. You want to speak at conferences if you can, or webinars, so people get your name out there so they understand who you are. Maybe you're doing digital ads, maybe you're doing like a website, but it's very, very like high level, just so people understand like the name of your company. The next step is consideration. And this is when buyers, they clearly identify the problem, and now they said, okay, I know this is the problem or this is the need that I have, and now I'm looking for people that can actually like do it right. So now they're trying to develop their list of potential businesses they want to go out to potentially like work with. So what your goal here is to deepen your engagement with some of your leads or your prospects, and then maybe turn them into like qualified opportunities so that when those RFPs come out, you're able to respond to them. So here, what you want to do is to do things such as like case studies. So you can do like case studies, you can put them on your website, you can send them directly to the agencies. Maybe you want to do like a webinar, maybe you want to do like a blog article. And then also responding to sources sought notices. So sometimes DC government agencies and federal agencies as well, when they're looking to do their research to understand what companies are out there in the market that could potentially fulfill their needs, what they'll do is that they'll send something out called a sources sort notices. And it's basically just says, hey, this is the agency, this is like what we're trying to do. We're trying to find businesses that might potentially be able to fit these folks, and hopefully if we find a business that can fit this need that we want, maybe we buy from like one of those, right? So you just sort of have to respond to it. The third one is purchase. This is when the buyers are ready to make the purchase decision. So the goal for small businesses here is really to respond to sign new clients. And the marketing activities you want to be doing in this phase is this is when you want to respond to RFPs, right? Because the government agencies have put out a formal RFP. So this is why it's really important to always go into Ariba so you can sort of see what the opportunities are. You want to do pitch decks, qualifications packages, etc. And then hopefully, you get the business. And then sort of like the last stage in the funnel is all around retention. And your goal here is really to hopefully renew that client so you can have it for multiple years. So marketing activities you want to do in this stage are providing really good customer service. You want to go above and beyond to make sure that not only are you fulfilling the needs of the proposal, but you're going above fulfilling the needs of the proposal. You want to do things like performance, like dashboards, so you can track the metric, but this is all about retention. So you're able to, one, keep that as a client and hopefully get additional business to grow your business. Um, Following along these lines, you want to select your marketing channels next. So this is when you want to determine the marketing channels you have to reach your target audience. And here, what you want to do is align your channel choices with the media that your target is using. And the next portion of the presentation will go more into some of these details. So I won't go into a lot of details on these, but I think you get these slides afterwards so you can like look at them. But this first page here, these are sort of like all sort of like in-person opportunities and events. So a couple of things that I'll highlight. I think the DC government networking events are really good. So I think DSLBD does a great job at having different events such as like Meet the Primes. I think they have a big event on October 29th, where the District Connects is just, I think is October 29th, which would be a great way for businesses can come in to meet different DC government agencies that are going to be there. You can set up like one-to-ones with them. So that's really great. Something else you want to do is respond to RFPs and RFQs. So if you go to the Ariba portal, they putting out new RFPs and RFQs and requests for quotes and things of that information on a daily or weekly basis. So look at those, respond to those, make sure that you can get it out and respond to them as quickly as possible. If you don't win the bid, sometimes they have an opportunity for you to get like feedback. So take advantage of those types to get feedback because that way you'll get the feedback. You can help improve your bid moving forward. And then these are more marketing channels, but these are sort of more in like the digital space. So things such as like your website, email marketing, using LinkedIn, different ads, etc. Step seven, what you want to do is develop your content. And again, sorry for step six, the next part of the presentation, I'll go into more details on some of those tactics. But in step seven, what you want to do is create the content and your messaging, and you want to do it so it's tailored to your target audience and really communicates your value proposition. So a couple of tips to creating content. When I'm saying content, I'm thinking about things like a social media ad or an email or a flyer. It's anything that your target audience is going to see. So when you're thinking about creating the content, always think about, make sure you're adding value to your audience. So the value could be, it's informative. Maybe you're giving somebody tips, or it's entertaining in terms of it's making somebody like laugh or smile, or it's solving a problem. So some sort of like value needs to add some sort of like value to it. Two, tell a story. So stories are really important, and we all sort of like have stories. So the stories could be about like why you started your business, customers that you've helped, sort of like just use a storytelling aspect in your marketing messages, because it really helps to create a connection with your audience versus just focusing on like hard metrics, right? Because people remember stories and the emotions and the compelling, it's more compelling than like just talking about like hard metrics and numbers where there's no emotional compelling opportunity there. You also want to make sure you're using really compelling visuals. So with your content, you want to make sure you're using high quality images. You want to use high quality graphics, videos. You can use tools like Canva, right? And they have free options on Canva where you can create like videos, flyers, all sorts of like marketing materials. And then you also want to make sure you include very clear calls to action. So being very clear about what you want your audience to do. So in whatever marketing material that you do, if you want somebody to email you, say, email us now, or sign up for a newsletter now, or buy here, make it very easy and by calling it out right. And usually you'll see like a big button on like an ad or a flyer, but just make it very easy in terms of what you want your audience to do next. And then step eight is really about implementing, steps 1 through 7, and then measuring your results. So implementing your marketing plan and measuring your results accordingly will really help you move the needle. So, a few categories of indicators that you might want to track are below. So, for example, if you have a website on a monthly basis, look at how many people are visiting your website, look at what types of pages they're visiting, look at how many people are, after they visit your page, are they like emailing you or calling you? That's all really good information, because what you'll see is that, say there's 2 or 3 pages on your website that are really, really moving the needle. Maybe if you do like a digital ad, that's the page you want to send people to, right? Because that's where most people are coming to organically. Or maybe that also tells you how many people are converting in terms of, oh, they're coming to your like About Us page, and from your About Us page, they're really sending you an email from that page. And these are all metrics you can get on like the back end of different websites. And you want to do the same thing for your other channels, right? So if you have a social media campaign, you want to look at your metrics, same thing with email or lead generation, sales, things of that nature. And that's sort of the first part of the presentation. Are there any questions in the chat before we move on to the next one, promotional strategies and tips, or does anyone want to come off mute and ask a question?
So I'm looking at the chat. Nobody put in a question except for slide deck being made available. We'll send out the recording of the training and the presentation materials to folks in a later email.
Cool. Thank you. All right, I see people say not at the moment, it's clear. All right, well, that's good. Sometimes you do these things, I'm like, okay, is it people understanding these? But if folks are saying it's clear and they're getting things afterwards, that'd be great. So next, we talk about promotional strategies and tips. Um, One that I want to focus on is account-based marketing. And this is more of like a strategic approach where you target specific like agencies rather than like a broad audience. And I think this is really good, especially if you're like the DC government. Your target audience is the DC government, right? So like we're a marketing agency, and we work with a number of DC government agencies. But with that, we created like a list of, 7 to 10 DC government agencies that typically buy like marketing and communication services. And those are the accounts that we really like target in our marketing. And that's sort of like account-based marketing, right? Because for each of those agencies, you have a very specific plan in terms of like going after them. And you can do the same thing no matter like what your business is, if it's like construction or janitorial services or landscaping. There's certain agencies that buy like a lot of janitorial services or construction services. So that's sort of what it means by like account-based marketing. And it doesn't have to be government agencies. It could also be like again, in construction, like prime contractors, you might go after like the Clark Constructions of the world and other big prime contractors. But if that's what account-based marketing is about. So a few tips. You want to identify your target audience. So think about things like the size, the industry you're in, the location, the purchasing behavior. You can use resources like the DC Green Book and other data to determine which accounts are most likely to generate revenue. So if you haven't already, in the beginning of each fiscal year, DC comes out with the DC Green Book, and in it lists all the different DC government agencies, but also other partners like DC Water, Ramada, etc. And in it, they have what they project to spend on the different NACE codes. So it'll say like Department of Behavioral Health, we're expecting to spend X amount of dollars on construction services or X amount of dollars on like communications and marketing services. So it's a good idea at the beginning of the year when that comes out, go through that book, identify those agencies that are going to be buying your services, based on your NACE codes, and that sort of becomes like the accounts that you may want to target, right? So once you have that list, what you can do is that you can start finding out who the contact information is at each of those agencies. So it could be like the chief of staff or a contracting officer, or you can like sort of like look this information up on their websites, and then you can sort of like send them like short messages, right? Maybe send them like a short email that introduces your company to them. In that email you can include your capability statement, any case studies that you may have done in the past, or any other resources that address their challenges. Or if you see that they got some big grant from the federal government, or they said, oh, this agency is going to be doing this new initiative, you saw it in the news. If that's an initiative that your business does, send them an email, say, hey, I just saw in the news that you are going to be retrofitting all these buildings, downtown. We're a DC based HVAC company. We would love to, help you with this, and, set up like try to set up a meeting with them. With it, you want to use a multi-channel approach. So, sometimes it usually takes 7 times to send somebody a message, or somebody has to see a message 7 times before they take action. So do things like email, right? So you can send them an email if DSLBD has a Meet the Primes event and that agency is going to be there. Go to that meeting where you can like follow up and meet with them. Do things on like LinkedIn. They're probably like on like LinkedIn. Maybe you can try to do like some targeted advertising. So you have to use different channels to try to reach your consumer. And then the last thing you want to do is like measure the results, right? So looking at by doing all of these things, you can understand things like, okay, well, I did these social media ads and I got nothing from it and no money from it. So maybe I want to stop doing these ads, or maybe I want to pivot and do something else. But then maybe you said, okay, I went to like 3 events, and from these 3 events, I got like 4 clients. So that would tell you, okay, I need to go to like more events to get these clients. So sort of you have to like test these different marketing activities to sort of understand like what's going to work and like what's going to and move the needle. Next would be conferences. So I think conferences are a powerful way for businesses to connect with their target audience and generate leads, because one, sort of have like a face-to-face with the people that are like buying your services. You can make more of like a human connection. They put a name to the face. They can ask follow-up questions. So conferences and events are really good. A few tips when you go to these conferences and events, you want to set really clear goals of what you want to achieve. So it could be that, hey, you're trying to like generate leads. You want to go to this conference. You want to get like 4 different business leads and business cards that you can follow up on. Or it could just be, oh, I just want to generate brand awareness at this conference, right? So I want to go there. Maybe I want to have a table, or I just want to talk to as many people as I can, just so they understand like what my business is about. Or I want to have a signage up at the conference. So I want to place an ad in the conference, like brochure, as a way to like build awareness. So whatever your goal is, have a very clear goal in terms of like what you're trying to achieve at that conference. Next, choose a right event. So, everyone's really busy, as business owners, and then people have responsibilities outside of our professional lives. So there's only so much time in a day. So you want to make sure you're choosing like the right events to go to. So again, like DSLBD, district agencies, and partners have a lot of different events throughout the year. So make sure that you're choosing like the right ones to go to. Again, another plug for District Connect, I think is on October 29th. I think they've started sending out emails to promote it. So that's a really great one, right? Because there's a lot of different DC government agencies, other small businesses there that you can like network with. Three, Follow up with your leads like pretty promptly within like, like a week to help maintain momentum, help build relationships. So this include things such as sending them personal emails, a phone call, asking to set up a follow-up meeting, but making sure that you're doing like all the follow-up as well. And then one other thing I'll talk about, we're just promoting your participation. So if you're going to this event or this trade show in advance, sort of tweet about it, not tweet about it, post it on your social media because there could be other people that are going about it, or it could be that a business that you want to target is going to go about it and they'll see it as well. And they might like target, they might, reach out to you and ask you to set up like an event or to set up, not an event, set up like a meeting at the event. So also promote your participation at the event because that's important as well. Next, having a website. So I think that having a website is critically important for your business, and it doesn't have to be like a complicated like website. It can be like a landing page, but definitely have like a website because, especially in the B2B world, because so many, usually the timeline to make a decision between by the time like an agency finds out about your business and they make the final decision, like a lot of different people have done the research about your business. So a lot of times what they do is like they go to your website, right? And that again, that's because business decisions involve multiple stakeholders at the buying company. So a website is a really easy way for buyers to share information about your company internally. A few tips on your website. So think about the user experience. So put your head in like the mind of like somebody that's come to your website from the outside. So what you want it to do is you want your website to be very user friendly. To make it really easy to like navigate, make it easy to understand like the website. You want to make sure it's optimized for mobile. So, a lot of times people they're going on their phones to look at the website. So make sure it's optimized by mobile, make sure that it loads quickly so it doesn't reduce bounce rate. So these are all, and then if you use something like Wix or Squarespace, they're already mobile optimized and they have a lot of these like built-in tools that you can use to make sure that it's friendly. Two, you want to showcase your value proposition. So on your website, clearly showcase the value that you provide clients, or what makes your business different and unique, or how you can solve the problem, and sort of like put it in like big bold headlines, right? So maybe you're like if you're a construction business and you're in the green industry, it's like your green energy solutions for construction or your clean energy solutions for janitorial services, right? You want to like get their attention like super quickly and put in like whatever your value proposition is versus saying something like construction company, or you want to make sure you're really clear in terms of like what the value is that you provide. Make sure you use high quality visuals such as like images, infographics to make sure you're engaging with your audience, but to make sure keep it really professional. You can provide things like white papers or like case studies, and that's important because it might help drive more traffic to your website. So it helps to build that awareness. And also, as people are looking at it, they can say, "Oh, okay, I saw that this person, this company, they've done these types of services in the past. I can see their white paper or their like case study. This is like great. Let me reach out to them." You want to do things such as like optimizing your website for like search engines. So using things like different like keywords, meta descriptions, especially for like images, making sure you're putting like a description when you like upload it on like the back end, so like the web crawlers can read it in case people are like visually impaired, things of that nature. Again, incorporating clear calls to action. So what do you want people to do when they're coming to your website? And then make it really easy to contact you. So on your website, make sure you have like a big old button on it someplace that says like contact us, like people can like just click on, and make sure it's on every single web page. So you're gonna make it really easy for people to contact you in case they have more questions and want more information. Another promotional strategy is content marketing. And what this is about, it's creating valuable and informative content that can help establish your business as sort of like a thought leader in your industry, right? So you can attract potential customers. So this could be things like blog posts, you can do like case studies, you can do like webinars, etc. And with content marketing, you can use the tools that are out there. So, one of the benefits with AI is that it can help you create a lot of like content. So you can use like things like Chat GPT to help brainstorm ideas for like blog posts that you might want to write about. You can go into Canva, to do things such as like creating social media posts or creating like videos, so sort of use the tools that are out there. And all of those tools are like free or super like low cost. And at the end of the presentation is a list of like resources that are available that you could use, which I'll talk about in a moment. But a few tips with content marketing, sort of like knowing your audience. So again, understanding your audience's like pain points so you can create content that sort of speaks to their needs. Creating a calendar, so it's helpful to have a content calendar that outlines the topics that you want to talk about on like a weekly or a monthly basis. And it just helps to like plan things, right? So if you know you're going to a conference in 3 or 4 months, or if you get a lot of your sales over the Christmas holiday, you may want to, leading up to that, in the months of like October and November, have a lot of like content that is out there that's going to help promote your business during the month of December. Then use a variety of content formats. So do things like blog posts, white papers, videos, webinars, because people take information in different ways. So you might want to try a variety of content formats. Next, I would say would be like email marketing. So using email to reach decision makers and promote your business. And you can look at email in terms of like a formal like newsletter, right? Where people they come to your website, they sign up to be on your email list, and that email list you send them like a monthly or weekly newsletter. You could also just do things that are like one-off. So about to like the account-based marketing, you find like those 10 different DC agencies you want to target, and then you send those individual emails, those individual agencies an email, right? So it doesn't have to be this like big dog and like pony show. You can also just do it on like a one-off basis. But the important thing here is to have a really targeted list. So segmenting your audience, if you can, based on their industry or their job title, so you can make sure that your content is relevant to each person. Creating compelling subject lines. So, when people are like scanning their emails because they're so busy, you want to have like a subject line that's going to make them pop and want to like open your email so they can read the great content that you put into it. And again, you want to personalize it. So if you have the person's name, include the recipient's name, because it can help improve your engagement rates and help drive conversions. If you're on social media, I think email is important to have as well, because email is something that you own, your business owns itself. So, these social media platforms, that they decide to say, okay, well, they do this a lot right now, right? So you might have, say you have a brand page and you have, I don't know, 1 million followers. 1 million people are not going to be seeing the messages that you're like posting. I think it's usually like 1% of your total audience is going to see it organically. The way, if you want all 1 million people to see it, you have to like pay Facebook or Instagram, like, paying them to like boost your post to show it. So it's a way that they're trying to make money. But if you have your own email list, you can communicate with that list as much as you want to without paying these people any fees. Or if the social media platforms go down, sometimes they have these like outages where Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever go down. And then if you don't have your own listserv, then you can't communicate with your audience. So that's why I think it's important to have your own list of emails that you can communicate to folks with. But then next is I do think it's important, depending on your business, to have a social media strategy or social media, depending on who you're trying to reach. So again, selecting the right platform, because each platform has its own unique audiences and features. So for B2B businesses, LinkedIn is the most popular platform because when people go to LinkedIn, they're typically on there because they're talking about like business, they're in the business mindset, so they don't mind seeing things that are about business on LinkedIn. So that's why LinkedIn is so important for businesses. So if you have your own personal LinkedIn page, right, you can be talking about your business. It's best to have a LinkedIn page for your specific business, but if you're just getting started out, I think it's fine to have your own personal one, and then you can sort of like talk about your business on that. And then as you grow, maybe you transition over to having your own business page. However, other platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, they might be more relevant depending on who your industry is or what you're trying to target. So if you sell a consumer goods like, I don't know, like pencils, or you sell like a makeup brand, those are the sorts of things where most people are on like things like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You go to Instagram, you buy those ads, you buy like t-shirts. Those are really good for like consumer businesses, right? In terms of platforms to be on. You don't need to be on every platform. So I would say if you're not on any, start small and then sort of like grow from there. A few other tips, engage with your audience. So if somebody leaves a comment or they send you a direct message or they mention your business or your name, make sure you're engaging back by responding to it, liking it, commenting on it, etc. Use hashtags because sometimes people they search for hashtags. So if you have like a DC based business, if you have like a hashtag that says DC business or DC construction, sometimes people they search for that specific term, so it'll help your page pop up in the engines. And then you can use paid advertising. So you can like invest a small amount of money to reach a lot to increase your awareness. So for example, if you're on Instagram and you do a post, you can spend like $25 and then you can have that post go to like 10,000 more people right over like the next week. So it's not a ton of money to do. So you can like try to test with like small amounts of money to get your to increase your awareness of your business. And then it's always important to analyze your results. So at the end of campaigns or on a weekly or monthly basis, look at your social media analytics to understand what content is performing well, who your audience is, because that'll help you understand and refine your strategy over time. And then sort of like one of the last slides are just marketing resources. So these are marketing resources that you can use to help grow your business. So a couple of great tools I think that are good for building websites. If you haven't built a website yet, would be Squarespace and Wix to help manage your social media. Tools such as like Buffer, email. You can use things like Gmail, Mailchimp, Constant Contact. Content marketing, Canva. Canva's great, right? You can use Canva to create flyers, posters, social media, videos. They have a free tool as well. Local business listings, so things like Google My Business. So you can create a free Google account, especially if you have like a brick and mortar space, a brick and mortar business. So people can like understand your business when they're like going to like the Google search engines. You can use Chat GPT to help create content. If you need things like public relations tools. So they have this thing called Matchmaker FM for podcasts and connectivity. So what you can do is like you go to those tools, they help you get free public relations. So maybe you get on like a podcast or help you get in like a newspaper, but there are different tools you can use to help grow and promote your business. And then if you need images, Pixabay is a really good one. And then like SurveyMonkey or Google Forms are good for surveys. Um, and that's it. So, speaking of websites, if you want to, you can feel free to go to our website and sign up for our e-newsletter. We don't spam you or we don't like sell your names, but what we do is like on a monthly basis, we provide different marketing tips and best practices that businesses can use to help grow their businesses. And the same thing on social media. So, on social media, we're marketing consulting on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And again, there we provide similar tools and best practices for businesses to grow. And that's it. Any questions?
Um, let's see, no questions so
Okay.
far. If anybody wants to ask, to unmute, just raise your hand on the icon there on the bottom of the screen, and we can unmute. Actually, I'll unmute all, so everybody can just go ahead and ask a question.
Hello, I'm Cynthia from DSLBD. I don't have any questions, but I think the class was really good. This was really good information, even for myself. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
Balin saying, can you unmute him? I think I just saw something in the chat that said that.
Go ahead, Balin.
Morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. So thank you so much for your presentation. It was amazing. I'm actually on the last tidbits wrapping up my website, and I had a question, more so advice. I'm going through GoDaddy and I was trying to make some decisions yesterday when I was purchasing my package, well, upgrading it, I guess you could say. And I was told that with the package that I purchased, it had features to include the plugin capabilities. Do you think just starting out with a website for yourself is good to have the multiple plugins to, I guess, automate your process? Because that is what I want to do. I want to
Mm.
automate my process because I don't have a team right now. So if I automate my process, I can be at more events and get more stuff done. But is that something that you recommend? Because I was looking at more of like a call to action. Sign up now if you want more information. Put your email here. So I want to
Yeah.
automate my process.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I do recommend doing that. And a lot of websites, they have these automations now. So, like we use Squarespace on ours. So when people sign up for our email newsletter, they automatically get like a welcome email. I think it's like 2 emails, or if you download a free resource guide, they just click download and then they get the email automatically, right? So that's it's way easier for, like you said, for your life to have those things automated. If you're not married to GoDaddy, you can do like a price comparison or sort of like look at the functionality in the reviews. So if you look at like GoDaddy or like Squarespace or Wix, I think they all have like pretty similar like capabilities. There might be like different like price differences, and some things might be easier than others. But to answer your question, yes, I think automation is like worth it. But before you sort of pull the trigger on GoDaddy, maybe if you haven't, I would just do a price comparison. Cool. Okay, glad it helped.
And Robert, can you ask your question? Can you unmute? Robert asked if I think is that Google Workspace? Not,
Google Workspace. So yeah, you can get Google Workspace and it gives you like a custom domain. So for example, my email address is like Groce, my name at Marketing Me Consulting, but it's run the backend is Google. So when I sign in, it looks like Google. It just doesn't say like Gmail. And with Google Workspace, you get opportunity, you get like more storage, so you don't run out of like storage. There's a few other things, but the biggest thing is so you don't have like the at Gmail address, but it still looks like it is a Gmail account. It just says like the name of your domain. And there's a few other opportunities with Google domains. I think it might be like $5 a month or something. It's not like a ton of money. And then if you sign up for it, usually what they do is that they might also send you like free advertising credits to try Google Ads. Um, so they might say, okay, here's thanks for signing up for Google Workspace. Here's $300 you can spend for Google search ads to like sort of like test and learn. I hope that answers your question. Oh, okay, got it. Thanks, Robert.
yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Any more questions? Feel free. See. Oh, that was okay. Okay.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
Well, thank you so much, Nathan. It was a wonderful a wealth of information on B2B marketing. Uh, and what we'll do is send out the recording and the presentation materials, and also website and social media handles for Market Me, the company that Nathan runs. Yeah, thank you so much, Nathan, and everybody. Thank you so much for joining this presentation as well. I'll stop the recording now, and let me just stop.